today's video, I want to try something a little bit different. A user on my Discord asked me in the Ask Me Anything channel to assess whether they were the asshole. Am I the asshole? An AITA. You might recognize these from Reddit. That's the origin of them, but that's where I know them from. And it made me think about some situations that I've been in recently in Commander, so I want to talk about them. So let's look at this. Am I the asshole for asking a new player to stop me being locked out of a game of Commander? If you want to pick up a single product or sealed product and get 5% off your order, use the link in the description below or the code Kenobi at checkout at coolstuffing.com to help support the channel. And as always, the content on this channel is brought to you by Elgato. I utilize their stream decks and lights to run my content on my streams, and they're launching a new service called the Elgato Marketplace. The Marketplace is your one-stop shop for Stream Deck plugins, OBS transitions, sound effects, music, and general assets to level up your streams and content. Huge swaths of free asset packs and icon packs are just one example of the ways in which Marketplace will allow you to customize your brand, your stream, your videos. There's also paid-for content packs that people can upload to it and have curated by Elgato, and thus that means community members can charge directly for their work and get paid for creating useful tools. But Vince, I hear you cry, I don't own a Stream Deck. That doesn't really matter, right? Tons of the assets and downloads are usable on OBS, Vegas, Final Cut, After Effects, and don't forget Stream Deck Mobile is available to you too if you want to turn your phone into a Stream Deck. I'll leave a link to the Elgato Marketplace down below, as I'm looking to utilize it myself to level up how my streams look going into 2024. Now back to the video. Hello Willow writes, am I the asshole? So in Commander game there's a player A, a player B, a C, and me. Player B is my best friend from 20 years and he's new to Magic. It's his third game. He has an Elf Lord of the Rings precon. I'm using the March of the Machines unupgraded Knight precon. My commander brings back a Knight from graveyard whenever his attack hits, and my board was a threat for a few turns. So player A played a Danthe Void Walker to screw with my graveyard and used Maze of Ith to stop my commander from dealing any damage basically for the rest of the game. My whole strategy was locked and I had no removal. I was jokingly telling player B, my best friend, do you have anything to remove the Maze of Ith? I didn't think he would help me considering I had been hitting him with a bunch of big knights. To my surprise, he had Beast Within and wanted to help me, which when I told him he didn't have to because I was just joking, he insisted to do it because he had a lot of mana and nothing to do. I told him to hold it until something was a threat to him. I even pointed out several other things he could use it on that's a threat to him, and even said he could use it on my commander, for example. After contemplating, he decided to Beast Within the Maze of Ith to everyone's surprise. Player A raged at him, saying why did he remove something that was nothing to do with him? He scolded him because nobody removes lands in Commander. He accused of teaming up, he made the table really awkward, and he proceeded to be aggressive to player B, for the rest of the game. For example, when player B took too long to read a card to understand what it did, he told him, faster please. Or when he made a wrong move, he would say, no taking back move. His anger is then directed to me, saying I manipulated player B to do this. After the game, we thought his anger would subside, but it went on for 4 more days of him complaining. Half the people in the game store is against him because it's weird to rage at a new player, whilst the other half blame me, saying I manipulated a new player and I instigate the whole situation. Am I the asshole? Right, let's unpack some of this and talk about it. Of course I'm going to say no, you weren't the asshole. I guess the pretext of this video is that I'm not going to call out someone on my Discord and say, look you fucking asshole. I think asking another player at a table of Commander to help unlock you under some sort of disruptive or lock element is completely fair and completely valid. It's part of the appeal of Commander, in my opinion, that there is a political aspect to Commander that you can ask for help from other players and make alliances. It's one of the most thrilling and interesting parts of it compared to normal 60 card 1v1. With all that said though, I don't think you did everything right, and you did everything that I often find myself doing as well. I do think, whether conscious or not, you may have played upon your friend's newness or freshness or green status to Magic, where a more experienced player would have just laughed it off and left you to rot. This player not maybe understand how locked you were. They might not understand how to use their removal efficiently. Hell, they might not understand the basic etiquette of Commander, and thus, when you ask them these questions, they don't really have the knowledge or the know-how to really navigate that situation. I don't think it makes you an asshole per se, but it's definitely something that yourself and myself and many Magic players can consider when playing with newer players or engaging with players that have not played as much Commander or Magic as we have. I think I've also done this on occasion. I think I've said things to a player and then later realized that actually they were new newer to Magic and didn't get the idiosyncrasies of the joke or noticed that I was being sarcastic because it seemed like it might have been strategic advice from a more experienced player. And I think I've done it even worse in the fact that I'm a creator or known personality, and sometimes that can make people not target me or ignore me or do things not to make my time miserable, in inverted commas, because they want to let me do my thing. And I'm the kind of commander player that you probably shouldn't let do their thing, because sometimes I play decks that just snowball out of control with value-centric game plans. It's something that I've been working on myself and considering when playing Commander. There's an example of this recently where I played some games where I just sort of got to do my thing a bit too much across like 3 games in one night, where I assumed the rest of the table would like band together and gang up on me because I'm the arch enemy. But I think ultimately across all 3 games, all the other players were much newer and much fresher to Magic and Commander and the etiquette and discussions around politics in Commander, and thus ganging up on me to them seemed like a faux pas. It seemed like a thing you shouldn't do because it's mean, but in reality, by not doing so, I just got to go off the fucking rails thanks to an early advantage. But beyond that, let's talk about player A with the Maze of Ith. I don't think they were wrong for being a little bit salty that they had their lock on your commander turned off by another player. The difference is when it comes to being salty or frustrated with a play in the game, it really does depend upon reading the room. How friendly are you with the other players? Can they take a joke that you're about to make? Can they see the funny side of you being frustrated and pissed off? Like, Magic can be a frustrating experience and it's okay to have those kind of emotions and shit. It just depends upon how you push it into the table around you, right? It depends upon how you cast it upon the room. Again, I think I've not always been the best at this. I think sometimes as well, perhaps I can be too dry when I'm criticizing a play at the table. I mean, criticizing a play sounds so unbelievably negative, but I think, again, we can work towards a culture where that's okay. If you think giving someone some card advantage when they're further in the lead than everyone else is a bad thing, I think you should be able to voice that. Respectfully, of course, but sometimes with a bit of bitter hesitance or frustration, because that's just the feeling you're feeling in the moment. That's right, we're getting into like fucking therapy, Commander, here. But there's 2 elements to that, like I said. If you don't know the other players, you have to be careful and hesitant about how frustrated or how much you let your unchecked feelings show through in a game of Commander, because ultimately it is a game at the end of the day. And if these people don't know you acting a bit pissed off, they're probably going to struggle to deal with that. It's going to be awkward, and their enjoyment is as much part of this as yours. You're playing in a mutual group environment where you're all trying to enjoy the game together. And beyond that, and this should go without saying, and this is the most obvious thing I'm going to say in this entire video, like, games should end and sentiment should be left in that game. Did someone get hugely ahead? Did someone make a political alliance you didn't like? Did someone make a play choice you didn't agree with? Well, it doesn't fucking matter in the next game or the next evening or next week at Commander Night. To me, it's very, very clear that this player was being an absolute asshole by pushing this off and making this more of a thing ongoing. They could harbour, and quite, validly harbour, a feeling of, I don't know if I want to play in that situation again where I think a transgression like that happened, but that shouldn't become this sort of like upset. And beyond that, Hello Willow might be the one that should have the ire or be the subject of the criticism from player A. The idea that they would then use that to criticize the new player at the table and their ongoing playing of Commander and Magic is completely wrong. Like I said, if anything, the disagreement seems to hinge upon whether or not another player should manipulate or inspire or, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, suggest to a newer player what they should be doing. That's where the complication comes in. So really, the confrontation should be between the 2 established players and should not involve the new player who may not even understand these interactions because they've never played a political board game before like Commander. So no, Hello Willow, I don't think you're the arsehole. And I think player A might not be an arsehole either, unless they're continuing to be a shit towards the new player and even yourself. Let bygones be bygones and move on, you arsehole. I didn't really know how to finish that, so I just called them an arsehole. Do you agree with what I said, or do you think I'm being too soft on Hello Willow? Am I being too soft on player A? Am I being too soft on the newbie? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you have an Am I the Asshole sort of bit, if you're on the Discord, if you're part of the Patreon, link in the description below, hit me up in the AMA channel. I might make a video about your example too. You can drop it in the comments, but of course I'm going to prioritise my patrons and the people dropping it onto my Discord instead. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta for now.